Hello HSC students, welcome to another week of Math at Home. This is our 10th video and we are going to be dividing our lesson into 3 sections. We're going to have our 6th graders learning how to subtract integers using a number line. We're going to have our 7th graders learn about percent and financial literacy. And we're gonna have our 8th graders learn about the Pythagorean Theorem. Let's get started. Our 6th grade objective is to represent integer operations using concrete models. Today we're gonna be using number lines. And the problem says like this. We have a hiker named Pablo that he started his hike at negative 225 feet. That means that he started the hike below sea level. And when he finished his hike, he ends up at negative 125 feet. That's again below sea level. So the question says, what is the change in elevation? In order for us to be able to do this, we need to explore how to subtract integers. So let's get to work. In order for us to complete this problem, we are going to use a number line. We're going to start with the hiker being at negative 225 feet. And now as we can see, he's going to reach the end of the height, which is at 125. Since the hiker is going to move to the right side of the number line, then every step that he takes is going to be a positive. So we see here that he completes positive 25 feet. Now he's going to complete another 25 feet, and then he does that 2 more times. So we can say that the total change in elevation is a positive 100 feet. Kevin had a balance of negative $4 in his bank account, and after making a deposit, he has $25 in his account. What is the overall change to his savings account? So in order for us to do this, I'm going to draw a number line very quickly. I am going to start with negative 5 because I'm going to go up by 5. So I'm going to do 5, then 10, 15, 20, and then 25. So I know that he started, according to my problem, he started at negative 4. So that's going to be right here. And then he went all the way to 25. And remember, I want to find the overall change. So I want to find how much did he move. If he moves to the right side of the number line, that means that he is doing a positive change. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to do over here until 0 is a positive 4, and then positive 5, then another positive 5, then another positive 5, all the way until he reaches the $25 that now he has on his account. So if I add all of these numbers, that means that he made a change of positive $29, and that is the answer for this problem. The record high temperature is 90 degrees. The record low temperature is negative 2 degrees. Find the difference between the low and the high temperature. You're gonna have a couple of seconds for you to get the correct answer. The following problem says, a seal is swimming in the ocean 5 feet below sea level. So that means that on our number line, we're gonna be at -5. Then the seal dives down 12 feet to be able to catch a fish. So now we can see that the seal is at -17 feet. And then the seal swims back up 8 feet towards the surface. The question says, what is the seal's final elevation relative to sea level? And as we can see, the seal's final elevation is -9 or 9 feet below sea level. The following problem, it says, Moira is in a cave 40 feet below the cave entrance. That this word below is telling me that the 40 is a negative number. And then she keeps descending, so that means that she keeps going down, that's a negative, 13 feet. And then she ascends, this is a word for positive, 18 feet. I'm going to find the position relative to the entrance. So I'm going to be using a number line, and I'm going to start by going with 0. Then this is going to be -10, -20, then -30. We're going to have -40. We're going to have -50 and -60. And let's see how this goes. We're going to start at -40. So I'm gonna put my first point right here. And then since I'm descending, I'm gonna keep going to the left. I'm gonna keep going to the left 13 feet. And then I'm gonna land on this number over here, which is -53. Then it says that it's ascending 18 feet. So that means that I have to go to the right side 18 feet. And when I do that, I'm gonna land on this number over here, which is -35. So I can say that the position is -35 feet or 35 feet below the cave's entrance. So the following problem says, Ada decided to eat outside on Tuesday. First, she paid $10 for lunch, and then she paid $25 for dinner. She also made a deposit in her account for $135. Find the overall change in her account balance. You're gonna have a couple of seconds for you to solve this problem and pick the correct answers. For our 6th graders, today we learn how to subtract integers using a number line. We also review that every time that we subtract an integer, we can think of this as adding the opposite. And the last thing, we review the cube's strategy in order to solve word problems. Now let's get to our 7th grade. Our 7th grade objective is to be able to solve problems involving percents, and we're gonna be doing that including financial literacy problems. So let's explore the following example. Let's say that somebody deposits $400 into a savings account, and on that account it earns 4% simple interest. My question is, what is the total amount on the account after 5 years? In order for us to do this, we need to remember how to use percents to find total amounts. Let's get to work. I'm going to start the problem of calculating 4% of $400. And remember that in order for us to be able to solve percents, I have to change my percent to a decimal, and that is just moving the decimal place 2 times to the left. So I will have a number that is 0.04, and then I'm gonna times, because that's what the word of means, I'm gonna times 400. And then once I do this multiplication, this is gonna give me equal to $16. Since the $16 is gonna be earned for 5 years, I have to further multiply 16 times 5 because of the 5 years, and that's gonna give me a total of $80, which is gonna be representing the interest that he earned. Okay, and that's totally different from the balance on the account, because the balance also takes into account the $400. So the only thing that I have to do at last is the 400 that he had initially plus the $80 that he earned, and my total balance will be $480 after 5 years of earning 4% simple interest. The next problem says Patricia deposits $200 into a bank account that earns 3% simple interest per year. What is the total amount in the account after 3 years? So in order for us to be able to solve this percent problem, we are going to use proportions. I'm going to draw a bar, and on the bottom we are going to see the percents, and on top we are going to look at the dollars. So the first one, we have to know that this bar represents the $200, the full amount of the deposit, and of course we know that that represents 100%. Now I need to know what 3% is equal to, and that's where my variable is going to be. Why representing this with a bar is important? Well, because I can take these numbers and make it into fractions. I can say that the variable on top of the 3, and the next fraction is going to be 200 under the 100. By putting an equal sign, I am making this a proportion, because I'm saying that those two fractions are going to be equal. So now I just have to find a pattern. I can see that if I multiply 100 times 2, that's going to be equal to the number on top, which is 200. Why is that important? Well, because now I know that if I multiply 3 times 2, it's going to get me the missing number. And that missing number is 6. So what does that mean? That means that 3% of 200 is equal to $6. Now, I know that she had the account for 3 years. So now I'm going to multiply $6 times the 3 years that the money was there, and that's a total of $18. So what is my total amount in the account? The total amount in the account is going to be $218. We have the following problem. Marisol borrows, keyword, $1,000 on a 5-year loan. She is charged 5% simple interest per year. And my question is, what is the total amount she must pay back after 5 years? So I'm going to be using the bar, and remember that on my bar on the bottom, I'm going to be including the percents. So I know that my total borrowed is $1,000, and that represents 100% of the money. I want to know what 5% represents, so I'm going to put 5% over here, and then this is going to be my variable or my x. In order for us to be able to solve this percent problem, I'm going to do a proportion, which is going to be x over 5. This one right here is going to be equal to 1,000 over 100. So now that I see that the relationship here, I can just divide by 20. Then the only thing that I need to do is divide by 20 on this side in order for me to be able to get the amount for the x. That means that the x is going to be equal to $50. If he is charged 5% per year, that means that in order for me to find the total, I will have to multiply 50 times 5. And once I multiply 50 times 5, that's going to be equal to $250. So that means that the total amount that Marisol has to pay back is going to be $1,250 because we add the initial loan plus the interest charge, and that's going to be my final answer. And now it's going to be your turn. The problem says Eric deposits $100 in his bank account. He earns 3% interest. How much will he have in his account after 5 years? You're going to have a couple of seconds for you to find the solution. So let's explore the following problem. And it says, Rodney earns a monthly salary plus a 4.5% commission on the amount of his sales. What is his commission if he earns $4,000 in sales? So in order for us to be able to do this, we need to remember again how to use percent. So we're gonna write 4.5% of $4,000. That's the amount that he sold, and we're gonna try to find out how much is he going to earn from that. Remember that we have to change this percent to a decimal. So it's gonna be 0.045. Remember, we just move the decimal point twice to the left. And that is going to be multiplied times the 4,000. Now we get that the multiplication of this number is equal to 180. And we just found out that his commission is $180. The following problem. It says Luis will buy speakers for $79.99. The items are discounted by 12%, so that means that once I find 12%, I have to subtract. What is the cost after the discount? And we're gonna round to the nearest cent. So we know that in order for me to be able to do this, I'm gonna do 12% of $79.99, which means that I just have to change this to decimal and multiply times 79.99. Once I multiply these two numbers, I'm gonna have a result of 9.5988, which I can round to $9.60. So once I have this amount, remember that it's a discount, so I have to subtract from $79.99 minus 9.60. I just do a regular subtraction. That is gonna be 70 $2.39, and that's gonna be the answer. That's gonna be the cost after the discount. It's your turn. The problem says Mario's meal costs $29.99. If the tax is 6%, what is the amount of tax? Round to the nearest cent. You're gonna have a few seconds for you to be able to solve this problem. For our 7th graders, our learning outcome was we learned how to calculate percent through proportions. We also review how to find total cost. And finally, we learned how to calculate and how to add simple interest to our total savings. So now let's get to our 8th grade section. Our 8th grade objective is to use the Pythagorean Theorem to solve problems in mathematics. We're gonna start by looking at what the Pythagorean Theorem means. So let's get to work. So in order for us to be able to start learning about the Pythagorean Theorem, we'll need to review some key vocabulary. And the first one is, what is a right triangle? And a right triangle is just a triangle like the one that we have here on the screen. And the characteristic is that one of its angles has to be equal to 90 degrees. As you can see on this 90-degree angle, there is two sides that make up an L. And those two sides are called the legs of the right triangle. Just to differentiate them, I'm gonna call one leg leg A and another one leg B. The white line that you see there, that's the largest side of the right triangle, is called the hypotenuse. And that's given by the letter C. And now we are ready to start learning about the Pythagorean Theorem. Now we get to the explanation of the Pythagorean Theorem, which is a fundamental relationship between the three sides of a right triangle, just like the one we have here on the screen. What the Pythagorean Theorem shows is that the sum of the areas of a square whose side is equal to leg A plus the area of the square whose side is equal to leg B, that sum is going to be equal to the area of the square whose side equal to the hypotenuse C. And from there we get our formula that says a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now let's look at a problem in order to see how the Pythagorean theorem works. We have this right triangle that says that one of the sides is equal to 3 and the other side equals 4. And we want to know how much is c, or the hypotenuse. So we said that in order for us to be able to find the hypotenuse, I have to find the area of the square that is given by the side 3. That means that I have to find the area of this square, which is going to be 3 squared, or 3 times 3. And then I have to find the area also for the side 4, which is going to be just given by 4 squared, or 4 times 4. The first one is going to be equal to 9, and the second one is going to be equal to 16. We're gonna do it algebraically, and you can see that it's gonna be given by the same numbers. 3 squared is gonna be equal to 9, 4 squared is gonna be equal to 16. And now we know that the square of the hypotenuse should be equal to an area of 25. So now we know that the area of the square is gonna be 25, and the only thing that I need to do now in order to find the side C is that I have to get the square root of 25. In other words, I have to find a number that, if multiplied by itself, will give me a result of 25, and that number is going to be 5. So I can say that the hypotenuse is equal to 5. So let's put in practice what we just learned. And we have this right triangle that the 90 degrees is right here. So that means that the two sides that they're giving me are leg A and leg B. Remember that my formula says that A squared plus B squared is going to be equal to hypotenuse square. So I just have to grab the 5 centimeters and a square, and I'm going to add it to the 12 square, and that should give me the hypotenuse square. This 5 times 5 is 25, plus 12 times 12 is 144, and that's going to be equal to C squared. I'm going to add them, and this is going to be 9, 6, and 1. So I'm going to have 169 equal to C squared. And remember, in order for me to be able to solve this final step, is going to be to get the square root. So once I get the square root, I know that C is going to be equal to 13 centimeters, and this is just an example on how to find the length of the hypotenuse. Now is your turn. You are gonna have a couple of seconds for you to solve the following problem. We have a right triangle which has one of the legs equal 8 centimeters and the other leg equals 15 centimeters. What is the measurement of the hypotenuse? Now we're gonna explore the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. And that just means that what happens if, instead of looking for the hypotenuse, I'm looking for one of the legs. So we're gonna start by looking at the formula. And we know that it's gonna be A squared plus B squared equals to C squared. Now, if I wanna find A, the only thing that I have to do is isolate that variable. Well, that means that my new formula is gonna look like this: A squared equals C squared minus B squared. So I just have to subtract the area of the leg B from the area of the hypotenuse C. That means that based on my example, I am gonna subtract 41 squared minus 40 square, which that will give me an area of 81. Well, we already know that if A squared is equal to 81, I have to get the square root in order for me to find the side A. That means that A will be equal to 9 centimeters. And we're gonna be doing the next example. We have another right triangle, we have the 90 degrees here, and they're giving me the length of one of the legs and the hypotenuse. So that means that I have to use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem that says that B squared is going to be equal to the subtraction of the hypotenuse square minus the other leg square. So let's see. We're going to have 10 square minus 6 squared. This is gonna be equal to 100 minus 36. And remember, in order for me to be able to find the b, I'm gonna have to do a square root, and 100 minus 36 is equal to 64. So once I find the square root of 64, I know that then length b is going to be equal to 8 inches. And that's the answer for this problem. And now is your turn. You have the following right triangle, and I'm giving you the measurement of one of the legs, 2 centimeters, and the measurement of the hypotenuse, which is 5 centimeters. And it's your turn to find leg B. You're gonna have a couple of seconds to get the correct answer. So today our 8th graders learn about the Pythagorean Theorem. And remember, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We also laid the converse of the Pythagorean Theorem that help us to find the length of the legs. And we also learned that the last step in order to be able to find the solution for our Pythagorean theorem is to get the square root of these numbers. And that's the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for watching another video of Math at Home for middle school. Make sure that you visit HISD at home for any extra resources. And if you want to watch this video at your own convenience, make sure that you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will be posting those videos there. Have a nice week, and I'll see you on the next Math at Home.